start this again.
Okay.
Today is July 9, 2011, and the place of this interview is at the Children's Coalition. The name of the person we are interviewing is...
Sharon Mullarkey.
And can you tell me your current address, please?
690 Southwest Dalton Circle, Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Thank you. And we will be conducting the interview as a member of the Children's Coalition Incorporated. This interview is part of the Veterans History Project sponsored by the Library of Congress, American Folklife Center. Now, tell me about your parents.
Well, they're both from New York originally, and my fondest memories growing up in New York State, we're traveling, we take holiday on the weekends, going to different events. They were part of the Emerald Society and also the Lions Club.
And what did they do?
My father, John Mullarkey, was with New York Telephone. They called him Mom Bell then. And Mom eventually, Mary Wisgard, she's with the city of Lake Worth right now, but then she was a housewife.
Okay. So she became a housewife and said, I want my own career.
Yeah, I kind of ventured into that.
Excellent. What did you dream of becoming when you grew up? When you were growing up as a child?
I think initially I wanted to be a dancer. Ballet was studied ballet in high school, but unless you were, ABT in New York as a prima. So, but then my interest kind of evolved into aviation. I always had a interest in business, but...
Okay. And were you drafted or enlisted in the military?
Oh, no, enlisted, yeah.
Okay, what made you enlist?
Well, initially I was nominated to go to the academy from Congressman Shaw out of Fort Lauderdale. I was living in Lauderdale.
Air Force Academy in Colorado? Awesome.
And then, but I did enlist. I was guaranteed a good job, so I took that up in air traffic. And I had actually worked with airlines before I even went in the service, so I knew that it was something I had interest in. And I thought having the military background in commercial aviation, military aviation would help my career.
Definitely.
So that's kind of, and the GI Bill was always a good...
Tell me about it.
Yes.
Did you, but you didn't make it to the academy.
Right.
What happened?
Was nominated, went through the process, but that didn't occur. So basically continued my interest, kept my ears open, found a great recruiter, believe it or not, I remember his name, Sergeant Mitchell, out of Lauderdale, and at the time they were guaranteeing jobs, so that was a good point. And I figured it would be something that would be valuable.
Right. So you were already, you had relocated from New York down to Florida by then.
Oh yes, I actually after high school went to an aviation school in North Miami. It was called Associated Schools. And it was kind of like a travel industry school, cruise lines, airlines.
Right.
And they had a headhunter come in, and when I was there, it was only a couple months, but was picked up with Northeastern at the time. This was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And worked in reservations and the Q office, which was like scheduling of aircraft and coordinating with it was a domestic airline, so coordinating with all the airport cities. And then just continued with the interest in the academy and then the military.
That's when the military.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you definitely asked what kind of work you did before that time. Do you recall your first days in the service?
Sure. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It was hard. Yeah. I showed up in pumps. And
where did you do basic?
Oh, San Antonio.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Basic and then officers training also. So I've been through that twice, and yeah, I just tried to prepare mentally going in before. I knew better in officers training what to expect, simply because I had been through it before, and it was difficult, but the camaraderie was great. And in basic, it was an all-female flight, and then in officers training, it was actually a co-ed flight. So, that's when you start, putting the mindset and thinking as a team and your camaraderie, and that's really how you get through it, and finding the little things that are gonna to be focused on, and that just gives you the...
Was there an ethnic makeup? Can you tell me about that, what that was like for you? Both co-ed and all-female?
Sure. For me, it was more about camaraderie. I never really, when I was reviewing the questions, I never thought of the ethnicity of everybody and religious backgrounds, just simply because, I don't know, for me, that's what America's made up of. But, yeah, let's see, one drill instructor was Spanish. I remember one cadet instructor in an OTS was Sergeant Cadet Patel. So I guess he was Indian, and then...
So you definitely had you had the UN right there.
Oh yeah.
It was a pretty good representation.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What did basic feel like to you, though? For you, what did it feel like for you?
Training.
A lot of training?
Oh yeah. Yeah, PT, 4:45 in the morning, hitting the ground, going to sleep with your...
I heard Air Force had pretty light PT compared to all the other...
Okay, yeah, Army, yeah. Well, we didn't have to run with M16s, fortunately, right? You don't run with,
we 20
with your
miles
full
or so.
gear. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Okay, so...
But Air Force... What was the living arrangement like in boot camp?
Lockers, we had bunks.
Did you have private rooms or?
Oh wait,
it was
Michael.
Like college.
No,
I need to get this out right now.
I can see where you. Nobody told you that, did they?
Yes, they did.
No, they were wrong.
Okay.
Was that a general?
No, that's a general. It's a general.
No, it's, we cleaned the floors with our toothbrushes and hit the ground with our boots, but we didn't wear our full gear, thankfully. And M16s, but we did our training in jungle warfare and chem warfare.
Mm-hmm. What were your instructors like?
I found it's different because for basic, pretty hardcore.
Right.
For officers training, they were much younger because most of them themselves, they were cadets and wanted to be instructors. So for the basic training, these were career professionals that were, TIs, DIs, drill instructors, training instructors, that had years in it. In the officers' training, they were a younger set, and I found to be more mentoring.
It seems like you handled it well, though. That you were. Did you? I mean, personally, you enjoyed the training. You enjoyed the basic.
No.
No.
I didn't like jungle warfare and being out in the over 100 degrees, dropped in the middle of.
You had that type of training in Air Force?
Where?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's awesome.
there was 23 in our flight, and here's a pack of lifesavers, and the guys were making rabbit.
Right.
Yeah, on the barbecue.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, cool.
So you went through that. Awesome. Rabbit is good, by the way.
I hear.
Tastes like chicken.
And turtle soup.
What were your officers like, your commanding officers? You remember a couple of them?
On active duty?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
No, well, during basic and say tactical.
Well, I can definitely remember Colonel Center and ROTC. He was our commandant of the Corps, and he's very gracious, from South Carolina, University of South Carolina grad. I think he was actually on the Gamecocks.
Oh, okay.
So he was very gracious, and so he just definitely pops in my mind. I remember a couple majors and colonels when I was active duty, but really during training, I think when we just had our pass and review and our parade, so it was very limited contact for me anyway.
So after basic and tech school, did you go on leave? Take a little time off before you were...
Oh no, active duty. I actually had requested to stay in Florida. I wanted to go in the Space Command.
Oh.
And but then was transferred to Okinawa.
You were like, no.
Sure.
You're going to Japan.
Yes, it was.
That's awesome. What was it like? I know it must have been a great cultural experience to go from one to the other. Tell me about it.
They were so nice to me, the locals, and a huge contingency for the Marines. That's where they actually do their jungle warfare training as well. And it was great. Kadena was great, Kadena Air Base.
That's in Okinawa?
Yes.
Okay.
Kadena,
okay.
yeah.
And you were also in South Korea?
No, I was in South Carolina after that.
Okay.
In Sumter.
Okay.
at Shaw Air Force Base.
Okay.
And then at that, also in air traffic, and then that's when I started pursuing ROTC. And when I was at Kadena,
That's the ROTC.
yes,
Okay.
and just kept continuing with the studies at night. University of Maryland, they had the Asian division,
Right.
and then when I got to South Carolina, transferred there at Sumter, just continued on, and then was delighted to get into the ROTC program. So
what was your major in South Carolina?
First associate in arts, and then geography and geographic information systems, GIS, and remote sensing.
Okay. What's that entail?
Basically, studying analysis remotely. It could be through aerial photographs, but now they have ArcInfo input, all technology via the computer. So. Plotting points. I did a little graduate work, so my work was at the time during the Gulf Wars, and just I don't know if you recall the oil plumes and when so
you were able to just take photographs of those. Is that what I'm saying?
Well, basically to monitor the oil
Right.
slicks through the
Right.
Gulf War, and then just the effects through the local inhabitants and through the environment, and basically just tracking that, reporting analysis. So ArcInfo was heavily used at the time, and that's what they had at the University of South Carolina, was that particular program.
Did you serve during wartime or peacetime?
No, it was actually right at the beginning of Gulf War. It was peacetime.
Oh, okay. So and then you left after.
Yes.
How many years were you in total?
About 7.
7 years. That's a good time. Good time. And we know you have photographs, and you kept a journal. Did you?
Did keep journals. I didn't bring those.
I can tell you did. Probably kept a database. That was awesome. I love your pictures. We'll show those later.
Thank you.
Okay. So basically, you didn't experience war. You didn't experience a POW or anything like that, which is really good. So primarily it's peacetime service.
Yes.
And when you do you take any leave at all at any time?
Yes,
yes. Tell me
yes.
about the times you took leave.
Went to Oahu, actually when transferred. When I was at Kadena, I didn't really leave the island too much, but I did get to go to Seoul during the Olympics in '88,
awesome.
just to visit, and that was interesting, very nice, but interesting, and just popped through, I think, Guam, and then on the way back to, via Oahu, on the way back to the States.
Okay.
But,
so you've only primarily, your travels during the 7 years was Asia and America.
Yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to get over Europe or anything like that?
Well, as a civilian,
Oh,
Ireland, France.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go to Ireland, so
Oh, it's beautiful.
I know it is. Nothing but green and whiskey.
Connemara's nice if you like the country, and
Oh, I love
depends.
Do you, this is kind of a funny one here. Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events while you were in the service?
Oh, sure, yeah. Oh my goodness, officers training.
Tell us.
Yeah. So I was a dance instructor at Fred Astaire's when I was a cadet.
Okay.
So somehow, when you receive mail, mail call, here's your letters, everybody's sitting on the floor, right? So they saw it was from Fred Astaire Dance Studios, and I had to teach the whole squadron how to cha-cha in combat boots.
So you were literally the first Dancing with the Stars, but only in the military?
No. I was just an instructor, like part-time when I was a student and for work. And
well, why would you think that was like humorous? I think that's really cool.
I was so embarrassed. It was over 100 degrees in combat boots. And it was just preposterous.
Oh, you had to do it in uniform.
Well, we were in PTs, but they just made it. They loved it, and I didn't. And so that was one experience. I guess that was pretty embarrassing for me. I can think of others.
By all means, give me one more. Give me one more.
Let me see.
You want to go back to that? That's
Okay.
Oh, so basically, how you communicated with your family, because you did mention you got a lot of mail.
Mail, yeah.
While you were military, how did you communicate with
Just
your
the
family?
mail then.
Mail at the time?
We didn't really have internet then.
Yeah, of course not.
and didn't have cells out in Japan.
So it was relying all on mail.
Yeah, pretty much. Telephone, landline, that is.
Landline.
No satellites and.
You and I were in the same time, actually. It's kind of weird. So it's really good. Did you, what do you think of your fellow officers and soldiers that you served with at the time?
Well, quite a few of them are in. A lot of my, the cadets that we served with, like Darlena Bergera and Michelle Gaines, they're still active, and Darlena was going to George Washington U, so really proud of them. Still it's always an honor. I was thinking of that. You know, the camaraderie, you just don't find that in life. It's like once in a lifetime, so.
So you're still friends with them?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank goodness for Facebook, right?
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
And LinkedIn.
There were people I did not want to find me that found me, so that really didn't help at all. That's awesome. And there are questions regarding the photographs, which we're going to get to at the end. I'll probably take pictures of. You let us keep them. That's really awesome.
Yes.
I've got to say the photographs are awesome.
Okay.
So you kept the camaraderie.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost over 20 years.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've gotten to experience each other's life, family, and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for veterans. They still fly into Palm Beach, and you know, even I'm not totally actively involved. I still try to support them whenever they're in or out, and with honor flights and warriors.
Are you a part of a veterans organization?
Well, let's see. It was not active. I think the most current for me would be WIMSA, Women in Military Service. They have a monument in D.C., and we do get their letterhead. But otherwise, it's pretty much in the aviation side of the house for me right now.
Okay. I want to go back. During your military service, did you experience any casualties at all? I know it was peacetime, but you pretty much had to, when it came in and out unscathed, and most of the people you served with came in and out unscathed.
Yeah,
during that time,
thank
right?
goodness.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you recall the last days of your service?
It was difficult. It was a huge decision to go back into the civilian sector for me, and very bittersweet. I know that the transition's very hard, and I've always tried to support veterans, even as a civilian now, because it's different. Your mindset is different in the military. Your phraseology, your thinking process is just totally different, and then to have to transfer it into the civilian world. And I didn't see combat, so I couldn't even imagine having to see combat and having to retransition. But it's difficult. But
where were you when you ETS? That's what we call it.
Yeah, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
What base was that?
It's Shaw.
Okay,
At Shaw.
Air Force Base. Okay. And what did you do in the days and the weeks after?
Continued going to school. Just found a new
vocation?
I was already in study, so I just continued on until I figured, okay, well, I want to perhaps consider something in South Carolina, or where do I want to be, in which location. So I did continue studies, and then I kind of did another year, my senior year as an undergraduate, and then graduate work. So. And then when it was time, I said, okay, I think I'm ready to press on and perhaps get back into civilian world. But I was in South Carolina, continued studies, which I totally recommend. You can use your GI Bill, and I know the bill's gotten better over the years.
Yes,
so.
Yes, it has. And so from South Carolina, you came back to Florida?
Yes.
How long have you been in Florida?
I've been in the South since I'm 18, including Japan, so I guess that's considered the South.
Japan's not considered the
South.
No,
Southeast Asia. So, let's see, total would be over 20-something years, so, yeah.
Okay. All right, so getting back, you did use your GI Bill.
Oh, yeah.
What did you like about it?
It was just great. It was so helpful in that it was an allotment that helped me. I was a student full-time. I was working full-time and a cadet. So
it definitely helped with the mind
Oh,
part.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Books as well, because I think some of that's covered. And if you could get a partial scholarship through ROTC, there's different programs out there, even Pell Grants if you're on your own.
Right.
there's different funding. So
I did want to mention, while you were in the military, did you receive supplies, good supplies? Were you always supplied well?
As a student?
As military, while you're on base.
Uniforms, my BDUs.
Uniforms, BDUs, all your supplies and equipment that you needed to perform your job well.
Oh yeah.
Well. How'd you like the food? And don't lie, because I know I was in Fort Dix, and I always went to McGuire Air Force Base to eat. I never ate at my cafeteria, so you can't lie.
I didn't eat cafeteria either.
No.
Wow. I mean, unless at basic I had to.
Right.
Right.
But
3 squares at the in 2 minutes.
You didn't eat much while you were in the military? Why?
I ate a lot of rice in Japan and soba and teriyaki,
yeah.
and I enjoyed that.
Right.
So rice cakes.
Right. Oh, it wasn't. They weren't having it, huh? They kept you on an Asian diet for a long time.
Well, I lived in town. I lived in Kazinacho.
Okay.
So I mean, for a while I was in the barracks, but you didn't have to eat at the cafeteria. I mean, they had, like the USO had a little cafeteria. All the different places had.
Was the food good?
Soba. Yeah, I mean, if you enjoy Asian, for me,
Well,
I did, so that was great. And at Shaw, I didn't eat. I was also off base, so.
Okay. And did you speak Japanese fluently?
I studied Japanese, and I worked with Japanese controller actually, and staff Japanese self-defense. So.
Do you still speak Japanese?
Well, a little.
A little.
Mushi.
Yeah, that's all I know. Pass me the wasabi. That's awesome. Okay, so we know that you ate well. You had plenty of supplies, and we know you had great friendships. Tell me about your friendships while you were in the military. Well, I mean, just real lightly, real quick. I mean,
very endearing, sentimental, even all these years later, and just something, because you go through certain experiences, whether it's the training or on the field in jungle warfare, or if you're at your tech school, or even on your first duty assignment or your multiple duty assignments. There's just good camaraderie.
Did you experience any sexual harassment at all?
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Can
feel
I?
free, no, because we need to know. I mean, if you feel uncomfortable talking about it, and you don't have to be too specific or name anyone.
I wouldn't. Yes, I did. Actually, it was another female on my flight that the drill instructor was kind of.
I understand.
And it wasn't very cool. It wasn't too severe. It was just verbal.
Right.
But when
it's part of life. Just the way things
it is part of it. And
so
what
your
we did.
male staff was actually more respectful than maybe a female staff.
No, it was a female. It was a male sergeant harassing the female.
Okay.
What do we call them? Pingers.
Yes.
We had no stripes.
Okay.
We were in basic training. So not only did we have the difficulty of not knowing anything about the military, then our drill instructor was kind of putting it to us. But we got through it, and actually
your
thinking
career
of,
was sexual harassment free from then on?
Yes.
Okay.
And it wasn't, you grow thick skin as a civilian as well, so it happens in the civilian sector as well.
Of course, that is, yes, and on behalf of that, sorry.
But the good thing to do is to keep the camaraderie, and we knew that what we did was we just talked amongst ourselves, and then initially we felt comfortable enough to address another sergeant about it.
Okay.
We spoke with her about it, and then...
So in unison it worked together as opposed to dealing with it individually?
Yeah.
That's good.
Just,
Okay. So we know you've had your relationships for over 20 years, kept your close friendships.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go into later years. You served in peacetime, so that's good. And what did your career now entail after you got out of the military?
Currently I'm with Palm Beach Airport in Palm Beach County, still in aviation. I'm part of emergency staff at the airport. I've been with Palm Beach County now 16 years. So basically, I've been in aviation from fixed base operators, which is in general aviation. At Eagle Aviation, I was at Columbia Airport in South Carolina, and then in Boca Airport in Florida. I was in airlines. I was in banking for a little bit. And now
the banking was just a little bit, and then all of a sudden you went right back into aviation.
Less than
I
a
could tell
year.
you just want to be in the skies. I love it. I love it.
I like the foreign currency, and it was a great experience. Yeah, definitely to be able to check and balances and work with foreign currencies and in the vault. But I had already been in aviation, and I still love to travel, culture, international environment.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about the current war that's going on now, or current wars, or the military in general?
Oh, for sure.
Tell me
Yeah.
about it.
Well, I just have wanting to bring the troops home. Such a huge sacrifice. I mean, I don't know fully what they're going through. I was in a different environment. I was in a controlled environment in a secured area. I wasn't on the field. And just really empathize and pray for them, and just a huge advocate of veterans. So any way that I can help, I always like to, if I can.
And you did join a veterans organization, which is WIMSA.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And you're active half the time, most of the time?
Well, they're based out of D.C., and usually it's via internet. Yeah, they have reunions.
All right. And what kind of activities do they have?
Reunions
Just
primarily.
reunions?
Yeah, they initially were having fundraising events to put the memorial together.
Right.
And I think that was in '96 as well. So, and then since then, it's just a camaraderie organization for more women in the military.
Do you think they can do more?
Sure.
Like what?
Oh, legal assistance, maybe educational, and they may have scholarship funding, so I'm not fully aware, I'm not that actively involved with them, but they have good backing. They have a brigadier general on their board, and that was the person up and the head at the time, so...
Do you think you can do more with them?
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to. If I could, I'd like to.
Like what?
Well, I actually do a lot of things in Palm Beach County with the American Red Cross, because they're local. WIMSA's basically out of the Washington, D.C. area, and for me that's a limitation. So,
do they have chapters?
Red Cross?
No, WIMSA.
Not that I know of.
Straight out of D.C. Okay.
I think so.
I know Red Cross is like in my neighborhood. So.
Oh yeah, well they're all international. So we have for us locally, right on Fern Street. Yeah, and there's also north. They're basically in every major city. So, and they have, of course, the tracing, military tracing. So in the event that a veteran is overseas and somebody at home wants to get in communication with them, we can go through the Red Cross, and they can go through the tracing services too.
That's a good partnership.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
Do you attend any military reunions at all?
Oh my goodness. I try to be there whenever the veterans are in and out of Palm Beach, for sure, when I get word of it. Not that many, to be honest.
Okay. So how did the military experience, service and experience, affect your life overall?
I think it was a huge accomplishment, something I'm very proud of. My mother actually didn't want me to go in the service, but...
Why?
I think she was afraid.
Oh, right. But you're Air Force.
Smile for the camera. Okay,
No,
I'm not
it's
going
all
to
good.
squabble with you on that, Michael. I understand. It was a great camaraderie, as I said. It's something that...
A lot of education.
Oh, yeah.
Training, good training.
Oh, yeah, good training. I mean, to be able to go into chemical warfare, I mean, it's not something that you can readily step into as a civilian. And
So it just prepared you definitely, for even afterwards, for today.
Yeah. Well, even after the aftermath of 9/11, I did a heavy focus with everybody was concerned that there may be another attack on the U.S. So we did a lot of preparation with the Red Cross on disaster preparedness, and basically had to shelter ourselves in the event that something would occur. So I think that my military background did help me to have that mindset of when you have to bunker down, you do have to bunker down. And then after 9/11, that's certainly that we were presenting just to the public community that.
That's awesome.
So that helped.
Excellent. All right. You didn't serve in any wars, which is awesome. Let's see. Serve in combat. And I just want to go back. Well, when you were in the troops, or when you were in active service, how did you entertain yourselves at all? Did you?
I actually was able to have some fun outside work. I actually had an agent, and we used to go to the clubs as well. But I actually did work outside. My job is an air traffic controller, so that was great for me. The Japanese were very nice to me. I got to meet a lot of locals that, even though they were very nice, there was some upheaval off base, about presence,
right.
and but they were always very nice to me, so they didn't always know that I was active duty.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you have a lot of dancing competitions and
No,
stuff?
I was actually modeling, but I did we did put a dance together for the Special Olympics because they were actually at Kadena, so a lot of the ladies and I at the local gym, we put a dance together for the Special Olympics, but and that was fun.
Yeah, of course.
And
did you receive any awards or medals while you were in service?
Yeah, I'm humanitarian, overseas long ribbon, expert, marksman. I wrote some of them down.
Yeah.
Of course, basic. This overseas. I have to look them up.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, it's fine.
Awards below the zone was an award. I was part of the Red Feather campaign, which helps with just basically to push. The big thing then was always to buy bonds,
Right,
So
okay.
I worked in public affairs also as a collateral duty outside of air traffic.
Okay, so your job, basically, your MOS was air traffic.
Oh yeah,
control
for sure.
During your whole career?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Let's see. All right, so we covered a lot. We did good.
Thank you.
And, we did that. That's fine. And do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share?
This is very nice that you're also an advocate, you and your uncle, and thank you for having me and meeting with me and putting this in the archives. I look forward to seeing it. And
do you have anything you want to say to young people, though, that are interested in getting into the military?
Air Force.